Welcome to The Growth Show. I'm your host, Whitney, and I am really excited for my guest today, Julia. You're in for a real treat. But before I tell you about her and her group practice, I have something really exciting to share with you. I am hosting a brand new free training called The 3 Website Upgrades That Fill Your Calendar Without More Marketing. It's happening Tuesday, March 3rd at 10 a.m. Eastern or Wednesday, March 4th at noon Eastern. This training really is designed for established practitioners who need their website to do more than just sit there and look pretty. I'm walking you through 3 specific upgrades that turn your website into a system that consistently brings you clients without you having to do more marketing. You can register at whitneybateson.com/upgrade. And when you do, you'll get access to our Facebook group where we are doing live prep work before the training. So whitneybateson.com/upgrade. I'll remind you at the end of this podcast too. Now, today's episode is honestly the perfect companion to that training because I'm talking with Julia Werth, a graduate of our program, the Wellness Pro website system. Her website isn't just something that exists. It's actually working for her practice. It's supporting her referrals, converting visitors into clients, growing with her as she continues to add practitioners to her practice as well. And the things that she did to get her site up to that point, those are the exact things and upgrades that I'm going to be teaching you about in the training. So let me tell you a little bit more about Julia and what we're getting into in today's episode. From launching her practice in 2019 to now leading a team of 4 dietitians, Julia Werth has built something remarkable with Werth Your While Nutrition, a group practice focused on helping whole families recover from disordered eating. And she built this practice while going from expecting her second child to raising almost 4 kids and being a homeschooling mom as well. So today we chatted about what growth actually looked like for her, what worked, what she wishes she'd known sooner. We're also going to cover relationship marketing and referrals and how those have really been the backbone of building her business into her thriving nutrition group practice in Connecticut. I really had a lot of fun talking with Julia. In this episode, she shared just good pieces of advice. So no matter where you are in your journey of growing your practice, if you've been in business for a few years and you are looking to scale and grow and maybe even have enough clients so that you too can hire on some part-time or full-time practitioners, or maybe you're in your first year of business and want to hear some of the steps that Julia took to build up her practice, then this is going to be a great episode for you as well. So let's dive in. Hello, welcome to the podcast, Julia. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks, Whitney. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So you are a graduate of our program, the Wellness Pro website system. And we've actually known each other for quite a while.
Yeah.
And before we hit record, we were reminiscing. We're both from Connecticut, or you live in Connecticut now. I'm from Connecticut and all that good stuff. So yeah, we've had a little bit of history, and your business has evolved so much over the years too. Yeah. So let's just dive in to first off, on your site, you share your personal story of battling picky eating and having an eating disorder. And so how did you decide to be so open about your journey and public about that?
Yeah. Okay. So I started my practice like pretty quickly after becoming a dietitian. I was working in boarding schools actually, and all of my patients were athletes or kids that were like missing home or kids who had different eating concerns, whether it was an eating disorder or an allergy or whatever, and needed like help in the cafeteria setting. And I liked it, but there wasn't quite enough to do. So I just started my business on the side, and I knew I liked the population. And I always found with them, if you were more honest about like where you're coming from, that you're not like totally in the dark of, you don't really understand eating disorders, but you've studied them, like they're way more open with you. And I started my business with the podcast. So I didn't start seeing patients. I just started like talking to different people about eating disorders and trying to get to know people in the field. And that's really like how I built a big network, is just interviewing for the podcast. And my first podcast was sharing my story. So it was already out there. So I didn't want to act like, you can't find it. Like, it's the whole story's out there. So I just figured if I put it on the website, it will be open and honest. And honestly, it has been a huge benefit to me. I get dozens and dozens of parents who call and they're like, I saw your story. That's exactly where my daughter is. I need her to see you. And so it just, I think, helps build that connection before you even see them.
Yeah. Yeah. Having that personal story and people feeling you're sharing a bit of yourself, and that, yeah, just like you said, you're not just an academic kind of telling them what to do. It's no, I've walked it, I've lived it. And just putting that out there on your website so that people can read it, just like you said. So it's not buried somewhere. It's like, no, let's just put it out there, and that's going to help people want to reach out and trust you more. So
Yeah, and
that's
I will
really
say the
cool.
kids, like I work with a lot of pediatrics and the patients don't always know, like they don't always read the website, but the
Yeah.
parents knowing that I've been through it, I think helps them trust me because they talk to me and they're like, okay, she's recovered and a functioning adult. Like maybe my child can get there too. Because you don't feel that way
Right.
when you have a 15 or 16-year-old who's really deep in the eating disorder.
No, I was actually literally just thinking about my own, because I had an eating disorder too, and my own journey. I was like, it was a struggle. I went to therapy for a
Yeah.
very long time, and I was thinking back, I saw my therapist every week, and I'm like, God, she must have been patient with me.
Yes. And I have patients I've been seeing for years. I'm not a therapist, but even as a dietitian,
Yeah.
patients for a long time. And I have a patient right now who's a senior in high school, and I've been seeing her since she was in 6th grade. And just
Oh
like to
gosh.
know, and she's doing like worlds better than she was
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
I only see her once a month now, but it's like just crazy to think, wow, like I've been a part of her life for like half of her life.
Yep. Yeah, it's wild, especially in those formative years too. And so the fact, yeah, the parents are the ones that are making the decision, even though the kids are the ones that you're actually helping. But for a parent to put that trust too, because you are with their child and doing a lot of deep work. Yeah, they're at school and they're with teachers and all of that, but the work that you're doing with them could set them up for where they're going in the future. So there is like the huge level of trust needed.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk about, okay, so you launched your business in 2019, I think it was, is what I have in my notes. Okay. And so now you have a 4 dietitian team.
Yeah. And we're
So
about to hire another one. So there'll be 5 of us. Yeah.
That's
She'll
amazing.
probably start in April. So it'll be good.
Oh my gosh. So what were some of the key turning points to go from you starting from a podcast to having nearly a team of 5 dietitians?
Yeah. Okay. So I started the podcast. I didn't know that it was going to be what led me to getting clients. I remember like setting up my work email and I was like, I'll just wait for an email and like someone will reach out to me. And people did, but it was slow. And then once I built that referral network, it like really started coming in quite quickly because of the population that I chose. And I think a lot of dietitians are more geared towards adults. I've always wanted to work with children and teens and young adults. So that was a totally different population. I was open to insurance. I got credentialed right away with 2 insurance companies and then slowly expanded to now we're credentialed with all of the ones in Connecticut. And so that was like 2 things that really set me apart. And I like put in a lot of time to get to know therapists and pediatricians. And like when you spend an hour talking with someone on a podcast, they feel like they know you, and it's much, which they do, but a different level
than just shooting some emails back and forth or DMing on Instagram. Yeah,
it's so different. So they really felt, okay, I know Julia, like her head and her face are in my mind, and I'll send people her way. And so it really expanded. And again, I was working like a whole other job. So it wasn't like it needed to be full time for me to feel like I was at the max of what I could handle. So then like COVID hit, right? So it's, okay, I'm working a full-time job that was very flexible. And basically my practice had become like 20 hours a week of patients. And so that was feeling like large as well.
Yeah.
And I found out I was expecting a baby, my first daughter, before like literally March 1st, 2020. So we found out we were having her, and then the world shut down and it was crazy. And the whole, honestly, from my perspective, being allowed to be virtual, I had a little office in New Haven. I loved it. I could walk from my apartment. And I think there's parts of that I really miss. But the fact that we could be virtual meant that it was easier for me to see more and more patients. Like I could see them at
Mm-hmm.
night, I could see them and work my full-time job, and my other boss like not even know, because I was still doing everything I needed for him and
Yeah.
just seeing patients at lunchtime or in the morning or whatever. And so it grew very quickly. And because I was still taking insurance, right? Like if you're a parent, especially if you have more than one kid or finances are at all something you consider, you don't want to be
Yeah.
paying $100+ a week, because as an eating disorder
Yeah.
specialist, like I see patients weekly. So that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't like, that's a lot of money to shell out. And so people really want someone who takes insurance. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I was like, okay, I'm going to go on maternity leave. I gave all my patients away to
Oh.
other private practice owners that I knew, that I was
Uh-huh.
friends with, and they were supposedly going to come back, but there's no guarantee, right? It's I'm
Yeah.
done, come on back. But I left my website up, and it wasn't as nice a website as I have now, but it was at least there. And I had my beautiful logo you made me, and I had all the referrals. So during my maternity leave, I didn't turn off the option to schedule introductory calls. I
Okay.
still had that ability on the website. And so like mid breastfeeding, I was doing like intro calls, like the whole, I was only out for 7 weeks, and I was scheduling people saying, I'm coming back in January. And so
Mm-hmm.
I actually built myself a full client load to come back to. So I remember like
Wow.
my first week back, I had 24 patients or something like that, plus my few who had returned. Not all of them returned.
Yes.
So it was a little
Yeah.
chaotic because I hadn't figured out the breastfeeding with while seeing patients, and
Yeah.
didn't have daycare. It was like my dad. So it was a work in progress. But basically
Yeah.
that gap and the fact that I had spent a year and a half, almost 2 years at that point, making great connections, like everyone flooded in. And I thought, I can't do this. I can't see all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the field that I'm in, you make a lot of connections with other dietitians because you're constantly referring them. So I
Yeah.
hired a dietitian that I knew from, she worked at a treatment center,
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted to leave the treatment center, but she wasn't sure when she was going to do that. So she came on part-time, and that is what I have done
Mm-hmm.
with every practitioner. And I now
Okay.
have 4, and I highly, highly recommend to anyone who wants to hire someone, bring them on 8 hours a week. Anyone can work 8 hours in the evening and have a full-time
Mm.
other job, especially if they don't have kids. And so
Yeah.
I did that with every single dietitian. And then they get a taste of, do they like it or do they not like it? Because it's totally different. And all of my
Yeah.
dietitians have the option to stay at that level of 8 hours a week. And one of them has been there since 2022, and she has a full-time other job, and she just loves getting to see this
Yeah.
clientele in the evening a little bit. And my other ones have all worked up to full-time eventually if they want to.
Okay.
So that's basically what's happened. And every
Yeah.
time I have a baby, I hire another dietitian. So now I'm on baby number 4 that we're expecting, and we're about to hire a fourth,
The fifth dietitian. Man,
fifth,
man.
including me. Yeah.
Yeah. And getting the continually having enough work. So all of these dietitians have moved up to full time, meaning there
Yeah.
is that many clients
Mhm.
coming in. So is that
Mhm.
still from referrals, or have you expanded to any other channels for
Yeah. So
attracting leads and things?
when I was expecting Peter, my second, I did the website class with you, and
Mm-hmm.
that made a big difference. And people would find my website and actually schedule an appointment. So I do have that stream as well, that people are like, oh, I just Googled and found your website. But honestly,
Okay.
the at least 50%, if not more, is still referrals or insurance. Like they'll find my name in insurance and
Mm-hmm.
realize I'm the only one who takes pediatrics and insurance. And also, it's not just therapists and pediatricians, it's treatment centers. It's like tons of different,
Right.
like people have so many touch points when you work with eating disorders. And we also do GI conditions and other things too. And so it starts to
Mm-hmm.
expand. And my dietitians who work for me are great at networking. I'm always telling them, like, call every provider who works with your patients. And so they're getting their own referrals too. They're not just
Okay.
coming to me, they're coming to them as well.
Yep. And is it only insurance, or do you also do private
We do
cash pay?
self-pay too.
Okay.
It's just like a smaller percentage, maybe like 10 to 20% of our patients at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So let's see. I think I've asked, so finding the right team members and deciding when to hire. It's when you were at capacity and you had definitely a lot of clients coming in, and then because you're building this network already, it's making it easier for you to find those right people. And I think
I
that
will
was a
say
great
finding
advice.
the right hire is so hard. Like I really, it is, we've had team members come and go and everyone has been great at different times. And no, I would not have not hired any of them. But for one of the dietitians that I did hire, I interviewed like 20 people. It took me so long to find someone. And that's because for all of the others, it was like somebody I knew or someone I knew. So it was like more trust. But in this space, like you can hear everything is based on my performance. Like, how am I doing as a dietitian? How do the doctors think I'm doing? How do the therapists think I'm doing? So they'll send more people. If I have someone who's like not doing a good job, then it's like really, really bad.
Really hurts.
Really
hurts the business.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah. I've messed up with patients. My dietitians have messed up with patients. It just happens, right? We all make mistakes, or it just wasn't a good fit to begin with. And that does come back to us a little bit. It's that therapist might not send someone our way or whatever, which happens, and it's fine, but it's hard. And so finding the right person, like I would spend so much time making sure that it is the right hire before you commit, because it's hard to fire someone. It's very challenging legally. So you can't really do that. So well.
Especially when they're full-time and all of that. And that's why starting them contract basis and having that kind of probationary period.
It's illegal to be contract in this space.
When
you're doing one, a lot of people don't know that. So legal tip, don't hire as a contractor when someone is just seeing patients. If it's a project, fine. But if it's just seeing patients, at least in Connecticut, I don't know about other states or countries, but in Connecticut, that is a W-2 employee because it's hourly work. So even my 8-hour person, like they're a W-2, like I have to pay workers' comp insurance. I have all this stuff. It would be a lot.
So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think it's so similar to finding clients too in our businesses. Like you start off with the people that are closest to you and you get these warm leads and you get people where there's trust and it's a little bit easier and people are already ready and all of that. And then as you start growing, because some of the first people I hired in my business were people I knew or friends and people that I was in my travel group actually, which was really cool that I could hire people that were in my group and all of that. But then as that became saturated, it's now I need to hire strangers. It's a whole different animal. And I've had my like bumps and bruises too. And I really appreciate you saying that. So even though we can see that you have 3 and almost 4 other dietitians working for you, it's not that you like hit it out of the ballpark with those 4. It's like there's probably maybe 100 other people that you spoke to over the years or have come and gone and all of that to get to where you are today.
I did hit it out of the ballpark with like several of my hires just randomly. Like my really, really good friend from college has worked for me since 2021. She's incredible, an amazing dietitian, and I am so blessed because I didn't even have to interview anyone. And so I think it was just like she said she wanted to. It was awesome. So I just think like sometimes you will, and like I was nervous to ask her because I was like, she's my friend. Like I don't want to like ruin that relationship or have that thing. But I'm so glad that I did because it's been like 5 years.
Yeah. And it's just these things you can't necessarily know. And what I really love, and maybe you feel the same way, is that you are providing jobs and opportunities for other people. And that is just to me like one of the most gratifying things too, is that you're allowing like these dietitians that are working for you to either just expand or fulfill a clinical role or a counseling role that maybe like in their day job they're just not getting, or it's giving them some extra money that they can be saving for something, or you're allowing them to leave a job that really wasn't gratifying, fulfilling, and now it's just like
it does feel so good. Yeah.
And
other thing
I love it.
Is that in this setting, if you're going to be, I have tried to go the route of offering courses and things, and at different times that's successful, but I don't think you can do that in this field as well, because eating disorders are so hyper specialized to the individual and people don't want to share with groups. So you can, and I've done some very successful groups, but it's harder than in other specialties of nutrition. And I just think that if when you have, I'm not accepting patients up, like you're like, you can see that sometimes dietitians will say, I'm full, my practice is full. Right. I think that shows your practice. No one's ever going to reach out again because the doctor hears, oh, that practice is full. They stop referring. If you say to insurance you're full, that's a game changer. So I have just made it a policy that I never say I'm full. I can always
you just hire more.
I just hire more or I work more, like for a few weeks, and you know it's going to go away because patients leave, things happen. And so that's something I tell every person I hire. There's going to be like droughts and huge booms in this work. And like sometimes you need to work 30, 40 hours when you only want to work 20. And other times you're going to be working like 17, like wondering when you can get more.
And you should enjoy those times, is what I've learned over the years.
That is, yes.
Relish it. Instead of freaking out. But it's hard because we don't always, that trust of things coming back is tough too.
Yeah.
But that's a really great point too, because there's so many different ways to scale. And yes, going in and creating programs. And I do want to talk about, because you had a parent support course.
And it's been successful at different times. Like the parent programming is much more effective than eating disorder programming, right?
Yeah. So it's also about looking at because obviously we hear about develop a course, develop an online program, all these different ways. And I totally get it. We all want passive income.
Yeah.
We all want to be able to make the money that we need and want to make and not kill ourselves doing it. So like, I respect that so much, but I just feel that there's so much kind of misinformation or not the whole truth be told
like
about
like negative marketing. It's like, it's not quite right.
It's not always the right fit. Like what you're saying for your niche, you need to really make sure that this delivery model is the right fit for who your clients are. And then also just being realistic with the fact that selling courses just as a course continues to be more challenging these days anyway.
Yeah. It had a big like boom in 2020, right? Like with COVID and everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And so if you're looking to make more money in your practice and you're feeling tapped out, the other way is to bring people on.
Yeah.
And yes, hiring can be nerve-wracking and all of that. But I have a podcast episode very early in the podcast about hiring and just, I think having a formal process that you go through. And I agree, like you need to kiss a lot of frogs. There's just a lot of people that are going to fill out applications. I get really frustrated sometimes. Where
you're not even in Connecticut. I thought you had to be here.
Yeah. I'm like, why are you wasting my time with this application? I get mad, but it's, you know what? It's not about me. It's fine. Yeah. So if you have a methodical process to get those applications and look at people and all of that, have a process, it can at least take out some of the second guessing or stress of it. It doesn't fix all problems, but it certainly helps. That can bringing another person onto your team is a very other reasonable way to scale. Yeah. And maybe even could be easier and better because if you're getting referrals coming in, you're selling the same product. You're not trying to figure out how to sell something new.
Yeah. I will say it took me a while to learn this, but the most helpful thing in the past 3 or 4 years that I just go back to again and again is do what you're good at and lean into what you're good at. I am awful at online. That's why you made my website. I am like so bad. I'm so bad at like Instagram or any kind of like digital marketing. It's just not my forte. I'm really great at talking to people. I'm really good at networking. I'm good at seeing clients. I don't have a problem filling out forms. I'm credentialed with insurance companies and it's fine. I'm not scared of that. So I tried so hard to be like, everyone's doing this. Let me try to go the digital route. And it just never was super successful for me. And it felt like it was more effort, so much more effort than I was getting back for. And so
Mm-hmm.
even though like I really did love running my parent groups, and I do at least one every year because I see like how life-changing it is for those families. Like it
Yeah.
is so much more work for me
Mm.
than just seeing one-on-one clients, even though you're like, yeah, you're seeing 10 at a time. And it's, yeah, but like to get those 10 is really hard. And like to schedule the times
Uh-huh.
in the evenings when I have 3 little kids. And it's just, I
Yeah.
think like when I figured out, okay, I'm good at hiring people, we're good at getting referrals, we're good at seeing patients, I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
worry about doing what everyone else does.
Yeah. Yep. And that's it. Just because everyone else is doing it, if it doesn't feel right for you and there are other things in your business that are working well, or you can see how they could be
Yeah.
working well or could be working better,
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like you should stop doing the thing. Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your website a little bit. So what
Mm-hmm.
made you decide to upgrade it and work with us on that?
I was really struggling. Like, I'm not good at technical stuff. So I had put it together with WordPress by myself at one point, and it was fine. But I just felt like somehow people didn't know where the intro call button was. They didn't, like, it wasn't, people would find my website and not make an appointment so much more often. And that was problematic to me. And I just knew like it needed to be updated. And every time I would go to update my old one, I would spend hours like, okay, what happened here? And I think you like had just started that course or like group thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this sounds perfect. Like they're going to walk me through what to do. I don't have to figure it out on my own. And so that was just really helpful. And it has proved to be like much more effective. And then anytime I have a problem, I know you guys are like still updating it. So it's been easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And that's good. I think a lot of us can forget to look at the metrics, or we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
look at the data and all of that because for many reasons. And so the fact that you were looking at that and seeing, hey, there's traffic coming to my site, but
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the bookings happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really valuable because also when we think about referrals, people are not, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that people that come onto your intro calls from referrals are still checking out your website a lot of the time.
Yes, yes, I would say, and that's where I was frustrated because people would end up somehow finding my phone number, and maybe it was on from my business card if a doctor gave them like one of my business cards or something, but they would be like, I
Mm-hmm.
went on the website and I wasn't sure how to contact you, so I'm just calling you. And I hate when people just call me like out of the
Yeah.
blue. It's fine,
Yeah.
but it's hard because like I don't normally get to the phone, and then there's a message, and then you're playing phone tag, and it's like such a waste of time. So it's so much
Yeah.
easier if you have the intro call scheduled. And I was like, clearly
Yeah.
there's an issue because people are like wanting to see me and
Yeah.
not. Somehow it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we think about like for every one person that went the extra mile to call you,
I
there's
know.
probably 5 to 10 other people that were like mildly interested and
Right.
would have booked a call, but we're just like, there's someone else who has literally a button that I know how to click.
And I will say in this, like another thing, and if someone's trying to figure out like what niche to go into, just think about what you're good at and what everyone else is not doing. Unfortunately for people, there aren't very many pediatrics or anyone willing to see someone under 16. Those poor people like didn't have another option. They're like in Connecticut, there's actually very, very few other dietitians who will see under 16. And so unless they want to go to the hospital and see
Right.
like
Right.
hospital dietitian. And so I think those poor people just like gave up on nutrition because
That's
they
so sad.
wanted someone else. Yeah, which was like heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're talking about the button for booking a call being a really valuable part of making sure that was prominent and all of
Yeah.
that. Are there other features or aspects of your website that have been really valuable for getting clients?
Just a more clear like what we do. Sometimes I think it still could be a little more clear, but that we take insurance is like there and people know and they know which insurance providers we take, that we're virtual, although people still seem confused sometimes. But like 9 out of 10 times, like 9 out of 10
Yeah.
people know we're fully
Yeah.
virtual. We don't have an in-person office. They can see everyone's bio and read about the different dietitians. And a lot of people will call me and request, like I read Kelly's or I read Natalia's, like I want to see them.
Oh,
And so that's been really nice because sometimes
yeah.
I'm like, who should I put them with? And we all have slightly different things we're good at. And so it is
Yeah.
me trying to figure that out in a 10-minute phone call. And if they have done the reading and figured it out themselves, like that's so much better.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting thing too, that practitioners that have been in business on their own, solo practitioner, they're thinking that the people coming to their site like want to work with them, and they're going to be upset if they don't get to work with them. And I think
it does happen
if you,
sometimes. Yeah. But not
I think if you really do a great job of showcasing how great your other practitioners are in the business, then I think that can go a long way of people feeling, okay, I want to work with that person,
yes,
and all
definitely.
of that. Because we
All
want
of
it to feel like a win, not
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
you don't
for
get to work.
sure.
You
Right.
know?
And they're not like secondary. They just have different specialties. And I've tried really hard with the, little notes from clients that say like they had a great experience and testimonials, that's the word,
Yeah.
to put mostly my other dietitians, because people just assume if they're referred to me that I'm good, but I mostly put Natalia and Kelly's and Kirsten's like on there because they don't know them.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So I think it's all about how you're positioning things. That's really what our website is all about. It's our space. We can tell whatever story we want to tell. And if we are bringing some kind of feeling in our minds about people are going to be disappointed if they don't get to work with us, or, all of that, like that kind of comes through in how we're presenting things. But if we're like, yeah, no, this is great. There's all these other practitioners, they do amazing work, and you really showcase them on the website, then I think that really gets people thinking like, oh yeah, they are really great. It would be great to work with any of these people. I don't have to work with Julia.
Yeah. And frankly, like at this point, it's like I have the least amount of openings. So it's like, please choose somebody else.
Exactly. And especially when you get to this stage, the goal is to not have your client calendar booked. Like you don't want to have that. You're doing more of that strategic CEO work of either looking for the next hire or continuing to do networking and bringing in still, if your interest is still seeing clients, of course, then do it. But yeah, we shift into that role. And I don't know how you feel. I loved shifting to that role. Once I stopped doing the websites myself, I was like, actually, so I was just talking to my brother, he does mortgages, and he's eventually I'm going to have to hire someone to help me if I want to grow. And I'm like, how do you feel about that? And he's, I don't know. And I'm like, you know what? Or I don't know if I'm going to be able to let go of the control. And I'm like, I'm telling you,
it's nice.
Once you do.
I love seeing certain clients and certain types of patients, and I don't ever want to give that up. Like I see at least 10 a week, and I love that. But especially because I'm homeschooling my kids and I'm mostly a full-time mom, like it's easier for me to do like the CEO type work at nap time or bedtime or in the night or when my husband's not working than it is to see clients, because that has to be really like blocked off and no like playing interruptions.
No wiggle room. If nap time is 20 minutes late, like
not good. Yeah. So I think I feel good that I still get to see some, but I get to also do what I want in my personal life more. And my income hasn't suffered for that. So that's been nice. And I get to be more choosy about the clients that I see versus the other dietitians, right? Like I don't love working with most adults. Like I like kids. And so I like some of my adult patients, but a lot of them I'm like, you would rather see the other three, I promise you. Like I am
just gonna be better.
Because I will talk to you like you're 7 and it's not gonna work. And so I think that it's been nice because I get to specialize even more.
Yeah, I think letting go of that ego a little bit as business owners, that we have to be the one doing all the things, and seeing that like the other people on our team can frankly sometimes do a better job than we can on certain things, and just really celebrating that. And it's so freeing. And again, it goes back to like you're giving your patient a better experience. You're bringing someone else up and giving them opportunities to practice and all of that. And then also, it's just freeing you to do other things, whether it's working or mothering or whatever.
Yeah. So. Or going, I love speaking. Like I go to a lot of schools and speak in different classes, and I couldn't do that if I was seeing tons and tons of patients. Cause again, like I have 3 kids, like I only have so much time that isn't with them. So I
Right.
try to like, and if you're going to go to a school and talk for 6 hours, it's like you need the whole 6 hours to not be seeing patients.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And so throughout the program, so you said that you love the fact that we set everything up technically for you and all of that. Were there any other things? We built the templates already, so it's not like you had to
there was some
lay out the
choice,
pages.
right? Like I did like that. I don't like when it feels my website is going to look like every single other person's website and whatever. There was like I could pick this style or my colors or whatever, and that was nice. And just like how, especially throughout the years following, like when I have a problem, you're so responsive to any of those issues. And that has been helpful too, because things come up where you're like, this has changed. What do I do? Your business isn't the same forever.
Exactly. Being able to add new practitioners to the website or change up the wording of your services or whatever you want to do. Yeah, I've heard that so often from people. It's like they get this website built and then they don't know how to edit it. And
I had a problem for a while where I was like, I don't know how to log in. I used to know how to log in, but there was like 6 months where I didn't need to. And luckily your support emailed me right back and was like, this is the link. But I needed that. That's okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, it can be like, oh God, I feel so bad. Priscilla is our podcast editor and so much more. She does so much in our business. And so we use Descript for editing podcast episodes and all of that. I know enough to be dangerous in there, but not enough to do a good job. And like she had taught me how to do something, but it had been like 6 months since I had done it and I forget. And so that's the other benefit of either in our program, you can just email our help desk and you can just ask, or there are all the lessons and the videos that you can go back to as well. Because if you're not doing, like I'm in my website probably once a week doing something, but if I was not in it for 6 months, I would
don't even know how to log
in. So granted, I would say probably for most of us, you should be going into your website and like publishing blog posts and all that. That might have been a maternity thing or something for you. So so many reasons why we're not going into our websites, but generally keeping it up to date, putting some new content on it and all of that. And so that's another thing I wanted to ask is you mentioned that people are Googling and searching for your site. Are you also putting out regular like content or anything?
At this point.
No?
Yeah. So I'm like,
that's nice.
Not poster child for this. Yeah. I don't do any blogging or podcasting ever since I had Margaret. She's my third. And she's like a year and a half almost. And it just got to be too much. And I realized I don't really need it. Like most of my business comes from referrals or people having heard my name. Connecticut is a small state. Everybody knows everybody. There's not very many pediatric dietitians. Your friend probably knows me. And I also if you have a kid, right? And I also I used to work full-time as a reporter and I know tons of people like through just being a journalist. And people will like Google my name. Or Google like the dietitian Connecticut, right? And so I just really tried to make sure like those things were high up on my business. I really do try to keep up with the right practitioners because we have some turnover. People leave. I hire someone new that the like correct people are on the website. Yeah. So they're not requesting someone who's not there.
Yeah, that would be a little...
It's tough. It happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they're not here anymore. So I don't do, again, like I'm not someone who does digital marketing at all, really. So it's just the website and I don't really do any new posts at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And so since you're not doing the podcast anymore, do you have any tips for other people who are trying to grow their referral networks? I think doing the podcast is such a great idea and it gives you an excuse and it's like, just great. All the things you said, I think it's wonderful. But for anyone who doesn't have a podcast and is trying to grow their referral network, like any tips or things that you're doing
if you're
now?
Trying to grow the network, like you need something, right? You need something that's going to make the other person feel like it's worth their while to talk to you, because sometimes when you just call, unless you share a patient already, so that would be step one. If you're already seeing some patients, like call every single provider, talk to them for 20-30 minutes, make sure they know like how much work you're putting into their patients, and that's going to help a ton. But in terms of like just meeting people you don't know, the podcast was such a great reason to be like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? And in 2019, everyone was like, yes, that's so cool. And maybe people still are, I'm not sure, but I just think it was a really great way to meet people. And you need something like that because people don't want to take an hour out of their schedule for, like, this is just to help you. If you can say, I've done this with pediatricians, like, hey, we see pediatrics and we take insurance. Do you want to chat sometime? These are the patients I see. They're going to jump on that because, again, it's something they need. But you need to figure out, like, what do they need? And that's something your website course, like, talks about, but it's slightly shifted, right? Like, instead of working on the clients that you are trying to see, you need to focus on, like, the middleman because clients only 25% of the time are the ones who want to find me. It's like their other providers.
Yeah. So it's using that same kind of rationale of trying to figure out like what's the problem that these physicians have, and then what can you be saying to them to like help them solve that problem, and whether it's
making them understand, especially if it's physicians, like you were just saying, like we work with a lot of GI doctors who in their head it's I could prescribe a med or I could tell them to go see a dietitian every week, and like it's really hard for them to take that leap to I'm gonna tell them to go see a dietitian. So you want to convince them like you're worth it, because if their patient sees them and then they see you for a year and nothing happens and they don't feel any better, they're going to feel like it wasn't worth prescribing or sending them to a dietitian.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. Oh yeah, those are great tips.
It's totally different worlds than like marketing to the client.
Yeah. But especially for certain niches, it can be, because I know so many dietitians, we always talk about, you don't have to be on social media if you don't want to. A lot of them just don't want to do it. And I get it. But then you still need to be getting your business.
An introvert, like stuck in your house, not talking to anyone. That's not going to work. You have to talk to somebody, whether it's online or in person or on the phone.
Yeah. And so and I personally feel like a lot of this relationship, because social media and the internet is getting just so crowded, not crowded in that we shouldn't be in business, but more like the social media posts, like any organic post, the reach is just getting lower and lower. It's just harder to be seen and be visible. And so I think going back to the basics of the relationships, building those relationships and networking, which for myself too, I am an introvert. I love talking on podcasts.
Not that
you wouldn't think.
No.
But I definitely, it takes a lot of energy for me to want to go out and introduce myself to new people and talk to new people. But I think the more you can do that thought work, like you're just mentioning, okay, what is my strategy here? And then just have a process to do it, so that it's not, what am I going to do? And just do it, just execute the steps, even if you're uncomfortable. And
you will be uncomfortable. It's not fun all the time. People you don't know and deal with the secretaries and all the things and try to make it sound like you're important. Like it's worth talking to you, right? It's hard. But going back to what you said about reach and why I think if any dietitian is thinking about starting a practice, like this method of going with referrals is more effective right now. I have a dietitian who I'm really good friends with who started her business at the exact same time. And she had blown up on Instagram because at that time in 2018, 2019, like it was not easy, but like easier to build your own organic platform. And she had thousands and thousands and thousands of followers just because she was good at posting every day and it was interesting and whatever. And so she built this whole business like purely based on Instagram.
On her following there. Yeah,
on her following. And it was amazing. But then combine she had kids and 2023-ish, like I feel like things sort of like changed a lot on Instagram and all of that. And you couldn't just have the same organic reach. It totally has changed. Like she doesn't have that business really at all because it's hard to sustain that with when your life has other things going on and the platform stops working for you in the same way.
Yeah. I think you get to control your own fate. Sorry, say that again.
Well, I'm just saying in my lane, like the real people are not going away. Like they're still here.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have a phone number, you can call that person and you know that they are there on the other end. Whereas, yeah, these algorithms can change, these
So
platforms can change, and you just
yeah.
don't really know what's going on. And I think that there's also a case for diversifying when you can. We're
Right.
not saying
For
don't
sure.
do Instagram or
Oh
do
yeah.
only Instagram in our referral. Have a few things that you're doing, like you're going and doing talks as
Yeah.
well, and you're in insurance, and you're doing referrals, and there's probably other things you're doing too. Do you have an email list that you keep up with, or are you not really into
Yeah,
that?
we do. I feel like I send 4 a year, like emails. I'm like
Okay.
quarterly try to send a newsletter out. But again, that's just not where our clients come from. I did it
Yeah.
for 2 years and it's okay. I got one patient that way.
Yeah.
But
It's just more effective doing the referral stuff. Yeah.
But for
It
some
makes sense.
people, and maybe in a dream world, if my friends and I had combined into one practice and had this thriving internet situation and in person, it would have been even better. But it's hard to do everything.
Yeah, so you have to pick. So that is not an area that you are spending a lot of time, but you nurture your referral networks and your relationships, and you're going out and doing talks, and that takes energy and time and all of that, but that being effective. Yeah, it's just about picking, like you've said, what you enjoy, what works for you, and then I think sticking with it. And
Yes. Yeah, because
you
again,
know,
I think about this all the time, and I emailed you during this time, so you were one of the few emails coming into my business email. But like I remember months and months of just I never got an email. You made this email account, you got credentialed, like you got your NPI, like all the things, and you're like, now what? It just feels so it's so hard. And
yeah.
I just flash back because now sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, there were so many emails. I'm sorry I'm a week late, whatever. And I'm like, remember when
Yeah.
I didn't get emails for a year? It took a year to get an email.
Right.
Hard to remember it's not gonna happen like overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a difficult pill, I think, for a lot of us, especially like type A
Yeah.
overachiever, perfect on the first try,
Right.
beat ourselves up a whole lot that things are not working. And the version that we see of success out there does not show the 20 failed attempts or
Mhm.
the painful things that didn't work out. Yeah, we've all gone through. And I think I remember a business coach I had said, if you don't get the bumps and bruises from crawling before you can walk, before you
Right.
can run, you're not going to be strong enough to overcome the next stage
Yeah.
in your business. If you just had a $1 million, $20 million business
Right.
overnight, I guarantee you it would stress you the F out.
Very stressful.
Yeah.
I always
So
think about because on Instagram, right? If you're on Instagram or any kind of social media, you see like, oh my gosh, these people are like constantly growing. And like you see those ads, like we were talking about before the podcast started, of you could be like, you should be growing all the time, like never be stagnant, start this course and this, whatever. And my first business coach, like, is always reminding people, I don't have her anymore, but still a friend, and she's coasting is okay. If you have your business set up how you
yeah.
want and it's working for your life, you don't have to change. It's okay to be
Yep.
coasting for a little while. And that is like really good for me to go back to because I'm having a kid every 18 months and it's good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, you're putting in work elsewhere.
my business needs to be stable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
personal life, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really important to remember too, is that there are so many businesses out there that are sustaining, they're either growing or just sustaining,
Yeah.
and they're not posting all sorts of things on social media. They're just quietly doing their jobs.
Right.
And I think for a lot of us, we would be very happy with that. But
Yes.
that's not what we see projected a lot out there.
Mhm.
And I agree. Like that to me, for me, I travel, I value
Yeah.
the experiences of my life more than I want to stay sat and try and make as much money as humanly possible.
Like for what?
Because
Yeah.
exactly, so that I can retire and then not have the knees that I need to like climb mountains and stuff. No, I want to do that stuff now. This is what I value. And I think that it's just really important to remember that, and don't feel bad if there's certain things that you want to try or not try. I think the one thing that we shouldn't do is not try because we're scared or feeling like we can't do it or we shouldn't do it or it's not for us. But yeah, the reason behind whether you do the thing or not should be because it really is important to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps you going in business.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I think like when I first started, like I had been a dietitian for a year, and then I started my practice, which took a year to get functional. But it felt like everything was happening relatively quickly. Like year to year, you can look at these like dramatic changes,
Yeah.
right? And now, especially the last 3 years, my business has been pretty similar, stable. Obviously, we're adding more dietitians, and like sometimes we do courses and classes and speeches and whatever, but it's relatively similar. And sometimes that feels, oh, is it okay? And then you're like,
right.
okay, because here we are. And my friend and dietitian who works for me, we're always talking about doing like a research study or something. And we're like, when our kids are like 5+, well,
yeah.
like it's okay to have that.
Yep. Oh man. So much good stuff. One final question for you before we wrap up. To anyone weighing whether it's time to upgrade their website and maybe grow in some new ways, what advice would you give them?
If it's causing a problem at all, like you should do it. Because again, like you were saying earlier, like I probably lost so many patients because they didn't know how to make a call. And whether those people ever found a dietitian or not, like they didn't find me. And so it wasn't working for me or for them. And it's just good it's so embarrassing to say to someone like, I don't have a website, or it's not very good, so just call me or whatever, or just
or it doesn't have my updated services on it, but what I just told you I do. Right. Don't look at my website.
Very awkward. I will say, like, in another life, I would have picked a name that I didn't need to like spell every time.
It's a cute play on words. I know.
But it has caused more issues than it is worth. Although I get a lot of comments like, oh, that's so cool. That's great. But it's in many ways, like I didn't change my last name to the rest of my family's last name because it's my business last name. So between the personal and the professional of it's WERTH every single time, I would think about that before you make a website.
Yeah. The spelling, like no unique spellings if you can help it in the URL. Have you bought the alternative? Can you buy the alternative URL?
I haven't because like it's all based on my name. So to me
but at least if someone types it in, it can redirect
that's where I need to go.
That's what the big businesses do is they buy every potential misspelling and then they all just funnel to the right one. Yeah, I'm sure Amazon has so many dumb spellings.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose that business. They're like, oh, no. Fair. I know where you were wanting to go. Come here.
Yeah, that's what I
do. Anyway, Julia, any final parting thoughts? This has been wonderful.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think just like you mentioned, don't be scared of failure and don't like try to be perfect. Like, I think that's so important. I'm really blessed that I am not a perfectionist. I think I'm the only dietitian not a perfectionist. And it's really a blessing to just not care, how it goes and do your best. Do your best.
I love it.
And want a lot, right? Like you need to want it, but not need it to be perfect or nothing, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. Thank you, Julia, so much. This has been so much fun, and you've shared so much great stuff with us. So appreciate it. All right. Wasn't that great? I love hearing how Julia's website has become this working part of her practice, almost like this other staff member for her supporting what she's doing, and really just how she's grown her practice these past few years. So if you're thinking, man, I want my website to work like that, then come to my training. the 3 website upgrades that fill your calendar. It's happening March 3rd at 10 a.m. or March 4th at noon Eastern. Go to whitneybateson.com/upgrade to register right now and do that so that you don't miss the prep work that we will be doing a few days before the training happening in our Facebook group. And you can learn more about Julia and her practice by following the links that are in the show notes. And a huge thanks to her for coming on. And thanks to you for listening. I will see you in our training.